Today is January 23rd, 2025. Well, I'm sewing a green peacoat out of some fabric that I found in my storage. I think it's an upholstery fabric. This fabric was gifted to me back in, I want to say, 2020, if y'all see it. And I'm just now using it. And I'm kind of liking where it's going. I noticed that the top stitching detail that I wanted to add was competing with the style lines and the texture. So I had to kind of take one away. But I can't wait for y'all to see it. So here we go. Would you believe me if I told you that in 2018 I wanted to give up being a fashion designer? Like, for real. Like, I wanted to give up. And it wasn't necessarily about not being liked or anything like that. The way life was lifing at that time, y'all, it was very hectic for me. I didn't quite understand how life was going the way that it was. So let me slow down. So bear with me. I promise y'all I'm going somewhere. So in 2018, I had just come off producing my second fashion show in Tallahassee, Florida, and I auditioned for Project Runway season 17. And at this time, Project Runway was still on Lifetime before it moved back to Bravo. And y'all, I made it. I actually made it. And around that same time, right before I got the call back for Project Runway, I had just told my family about being assaulted as a little girl. So imagine you opening up this Pandora's box with sharing what you went through that no one knew, and then you have this great opportunity to go to Project Runway. So around that time, in that same year of 2018, they came back and said Lifetime had just got acquired by Bravo. The production company for Project Runway changed, which, as if you're watching the new seasons now, you can see that the judges have changed, the mentor has changed, kind of how they do things have changed a little bit. And I auditioned the second round, and I didn't make it that time. But in hindsight, I'm glad I did it, because what mattered most was healing. As I just said, I had opened up to my family about a childhood trauma right before finding out I had just made Project Runway. So it all worked out. And when I went through that process of finding out that I didn't make it and that Lifetime got acquired by Bravo, and just telling my family about what happened, it felt like the straw that broke the camel's back. And for the entire year of 2018, maybe even leading into the summer of 2019, I did not sew a thing. I was like, I'm just gonna give up. This isn't my calling. Now, remind you, I'm fresh out of college. I'm like 22, 23. And it's like, girl, you still have your whole life ahead of you. Your frontal lobe is still being developed. Life is not over. But for me, I didn't know what else to do, because I just thought this was the only way. This was the moment. How could this happen? And I just told my family about what I had been holding on, and now I have to go through this healing process. And it felt like I'm the only one healing in my community, or in my environment rather. And I feel like I'm doing it by myself. I felt ridiculed and misunderstood, on top of not having the outlet of sewing. And it wasn't that I didn't have the outlet, I just didn't use it because I was lost. I didn't understand. For me, I was still struggling with recognizing that sometimes life just happens. And you just have to go through it. And you have to learn how to pivot. And you have to grow from that. But for me, I wanted to give up. But let me tell you how good God is. Y'all knew I was going to take it here. Let me tell you how good God is. Around that time when I wanted to give up, you guys, I could not stop sketching. I would try to go to sleep. And at that time, I was sleeping with my sketchbook beside me. I still kind of do sometimes. But at that time, I was sleeping with my sketchbook beside me. I would leave it open. I would have a pencil there waiting for me. And as I'm trying to go to sleep, it was like designs were coming. Shoe designs, purse designs, clothing. And I would just sketch it out. I would write the time. I would write who I saw in it, whether it was a celebrity or just a person that I don't know. I would write the features, what their hair was like, what the setting something was around the garment that I was making, I would literally just sketch it out and then write the details of what I could remember. And it would come so fast. But I was still so afraid to sew because I thought my dreams were over. I thought like that was it. And then come 2019 and I wrote my first book. And I'm not here to say like, oh, my book took off. It really didn't. I didn't expect it to. It was really just a passion project, something I wanted to cross off my bucket list. But I didn't know that would open up another Pandora's box of creativity with writing. And it kind of led me down a great path of writing, which I'm actually really happy about. But it led me to sewing again because I sewed the jacket to the cover of that book that I published in 2019. But I was still kind of afraid to put my toe and my foot back into the water of fashion design. And I think I really accepted it back in 2021 when my grandmother passed. And I'm glad I fell in love with it. I think it was just timing. I needed to sit down a little bit. I needed to get to know myself. I needed to understand my why. I needed to recognize my identity was not in being a fashion designer. I do fashion design, but my identity is not in being a fashion designer. My identity is in Christ. And how I administer my purpose, which is to glorify God, I administer it through fashion design. And that's what I'm here to give y'all. So me holding back that gift is holding back that purpose. So I'm kind of glad that I decided to sit down and heal and go through my process, because now it's about perfect timing and perfect alignment. So if you are in a season of your life where you're like, I feel lost, I don't know what's going on, should I keep going, should I keep doing this? Absolutely. I'm not here to tell you, yeah, keep doing it because one day it's going to take off. One day it could. Or one day you could realize like, oh, I did this and it led me to pivot to this idea. Oh, now I see I have a more comfortable footing in this idea that I pivoted to. I'm here to tell you, if you feel lost, sit in it. Sit in it. Because glory will be revealed in that moment. Sit in the feeling of being lost and heal. Let go. Purge. Get to know God for yourself. Outside of religion, outside of performative behavior, but like really understand why you were created and who you are. And then slowly begin to get your footing back into the thing that you love. And then you push through with it one day at a time. And you take those leaps of faith again. Because I promise you, it will pan out. So that's all I got. I hope you enjoyed this voiceover. And I hope you guys like part 2 of this particular wardrobe capsule collection. Because I'm really liking it. I was actually very surprised, but I actually really, really loved it. So let me know what you think. Until next time, I'll see you next week.